And good morning from the Rooster Inn. This is the same busy sun that we had yesterday. Quite a few filaments, actually. Filaments are essentially solar flares that we're looking at head-on. They're not visible with a neutral density filter. They require a hydrogen alpha filter. And with that in mind, let's go out and see what solar flare activity is like. Yep, fairly active. I'm going to spend the next couple minutes just going around the perimeter to look at them in some detail. This was a lot more exciting yesterday. Here we're looking at the southern end of the sun. Not much excitement. A lot of just routine stuff. Here the sun appears to be on fire. And it is. All right. Grab a quick capture. These are 1,000 frames. I will stack them later and see if there is anything out of the ordinary. And let's go back in. These were birds that just passed by. More birds. So this is the sun this morning. So I'll leave you with this and some music as I get ready to go for my long run. Marathon coming up in 12 days. It's interesting to note that those shooting flares from the edge of the sun cannot be seen with a neutral density filter. They are hydrogen alpha emissions, hence the need for a hydrogen alpha filter or hydrogen alpha tuner, H alpha tuner in the case of the Lunt 50 that I'm using. And by the same token, if we look at the surface of the sun, the sunspots, the very dark spots, can be seen with a neutral density filter, but the filaments, these blemishes, if you want to call them that, cannot be seen with a neutral density filter. They are hydrogen alpha as well. And these little filaments are effectively solar flares shooting out of the sun, but we're looking at them straight on as opposed to at the edge of the sun. So a solar probe taking a look at the sun from this side will see these as solar flares. Just the way from our vantage point we see these as solar flares. So these flares down here, if you look at them head on, they will appear just like this as filaments. So the fundamental difference is that the sunspots correspond of electromagnetic activity, whereas the solar flares and the filaments, also known as prominences when they are on the edge of the sun, is very hot lava spewing out of the sun, or hot gases. Yeah, quite an expressive surface today. And the whitish spots, also known as faculae, are fairly quiet, relatively quiet areas of the sun, if there is such a thing. So with that, I wish you a good day. It should be a quiet day weather-wise, and with a bit of luck, we will come back on tonight. My big late night objective is going to be Messier 33 M33, the triangular galaxy. I'd like to do justice to it by getting a few hours worth of exposure. But for now, oh, there's one more bird flying through. I'm going to attempt to fiddle with the hydrogen alpha tuner just to see if we can get more fun stuff, and then the focuser just to do justice to such a beautiful sunrise. Okay, this is as good as it's gonna get. With activity both looking straight at the sun and looking at the edge of the sun. And the magic of switching back and forth between those two is simply changing the exposure. This is around 1/60th of a second, whereas this one is closer to 0.67 milliseconds, so that put me quite a bit darker. Yeah, at around 1/1000th of a second to 1/2000th, yeah, 1/1500th of a second. It appears that the prominences on this side of the sun are bright enough that I'm seeing them now. Yep, here they are. I don't know if there is more than meets the eye. No, not much else. So this whitish discoloration between the filament and the sunspot, that's what's known as faculae. F-A-C-U-L-A-E, the plural of facula. And these are filaments. Most everybody else uses a monochrome camera to image the sun and then superimpose colors arbitrarily to represent whatever wavelengths they filtered it at. I am indeed using a color camera, the ASI 120 MC high speed. S is for high speed. I'm trying to get as much as possible the true color once attenuated by the neutral density filter. So I'm trying not to mess around with the colors here. And I like it a lot more this way. The only thing I'm adjusting is the exposure time, and that allows me to distinguish or differentiate between the surface of the sun and the edge of the sun. But today this is where the activity is, that's where the beauty is. So long from the Rooster Inn. It's time to go run. literally. 10 miles this morning, God willing. Marathon in 12 days. We will see you tonight for another visit to the moon, with the moon, possibly Jupiter, but most importantly, I want to spend quality time on M33, Messier 33, the triangular galaxy. See if we can stack a couple 3 hours worth of images.